everybody pumped on Tyson's new haircut, and that just like the attention from people on a change in my life is a refresh for me.
It's just weird how you can get those doubts in your head, those opinions of yourself that are negative, and then once you get over it, it's like, oh wow, what was I thinking?
Do those things. Shave your head, grow your hair long, shave your beard, keep it, go mustache. And we also know those things aren't going to fix it, but those are the things that lead you to fix it.
What's up, everybody? This is the podcast that answers all of the questions we ask ourselves about our midlife crises. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tyson Apostol, here with Bradley Hasemayer. Not a hard S. Not a hard S.
Nope.
And William Drumm, Colorado's top oceanic photographer and videographer.
Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful underwater ocean scenes out here, so I just capture what I can.
Yeah, when you can, you know? You get out there. We're all in our 40s, except for William, who is getting there soon.
39 and a half. So
we have kids. We've been in relationships. We've had jobs that have worked out. We've had jobs that haven't worked out. And we are in that moment of midlife where we're asking ourselves, is this a crisis? Is this what they mean by midlife crisis? And it is. So each week, we ask each other a question. Nobody's heard it before. And this week I have one. And I've been thinking about it a little bit. I've been watching William's Instagram. He got a brand new tattoo. If that doesn't seem like a midlife something or other.
Look at that. Wow. Yes. How did I miss
a swordfish,
that?
A marlin.
That's amazing.
What did these
It's Marvin
guys?
the Marlin.
Marvin the Marlin.
That's right.
And a swordfish is a marlin, right? In the family?
I'm not really sure where swordfish, because there's sailfish, there's marlin.
There's swordfish, there's all of them. And they all kind of have pointy faces with a big fin down the back.
Sail, yeah.
Did you guys hear about, there was just a surfer recently, a 35-year-old girl who was surfing and got killed by a marlin.
Jesus.
Jumped out of the water and went right through her heart and killed her while she was surfing.
Didn't even have time to have a midlife
Definitely
crisis.
wasn't Marvin, though. Marvin would never do that.
Where was this?
I'm not sure where she was, in the Pacific somewhere.
Is that an act of aggression or
that's what I was
pure
gonna ask.
Circumstantial, like coincidence?
Act
Crazy.
of God. Yeah.
Just like wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
And that's why, I think we've talked about this before. Don't go on adventures once you reach a certain age.
I know,
live
so
life
many
to the
people.
Fullest.
My tattoo artist was like, "Yeah, that's why you don't go in the ocean." I'm like, "No, you do go in the ocean. That's
Your
not
tattoo
the
artist
reason
told you not to go in the ocean. It's your job." I appreciate just looking at it with some detail. There are two fish that Marvin has speared. That's
through the
to
heart.
me that says something, right? That is wealth. That is a king
That's right.
of fish right there. He's already got two on the line.
So usually marlin and billfish are very careful about their bill.
Don't call him billfish. It's a William fish. We've already addressed that, and so you should know.
Yeah.
Usually William fish, billfish are careful because if they break their bill, then they're done for. So like they're usually not aggressive at all. And I mean, they're aggressive towards fish, but towards divers, they're pretty careful because they don't want to mess up their bill. So that was definitely a pure act of God where he was just flying through the air. She was surfing on the water, and sad stuff.
That is really sad.
If you're just coming in to learn about Midlife Crisisses podcast, I just want to let you know you've come in at a good time, because William likes to bring the mood. Sometimes it's way up and sometimes it's way down. So he's really true. Just he's the wild card in the pack. So I love it when William comes in with a fun fact like that.
Yeah, that was a fun fact. So my question is, it is pertaining to the tattoo in general.
Great.
Is like, are there ever moments when you're feeling like down for extended periods of time, or just like in a funk or like stale or whatever, and then it's a hard refresh? Like, what can you do to freshen,
snap out of it?
To snap out of it. And to me, like, looking at that tattoo, I'm not saying that that's the reason you got a tattoo right there, right then. But for me, that would be a perfect, like, snap out of it, Like, let's make a change here that everybody's going to recognize. I personally will go and shave my head or cut my hair. I'll do the Britney Spears thing and just be like, everybody pumped on Tyson's new haircut because it's so radical and different, and it's all gone or it's totally changed. And that just the attention from people on
that's
a
interesting.
change in my life is a refresh for me.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've done the same thing with my hair and everything else. And it is funny how something small like that can really help you just step out of where you're at and kind of get back into where you want to be. For me, the tattoo, it's part of a sleeve. So it's been going on for a couple of years now. So this isn't necessarily related to that. But at the same time, when I do get one, I usually do feel pretty reinvigorated and stoked and like wanting to work out more and things like that.
Yeah. I mean,
I have a fun story about the Britney Spears mention. When I had just moved to LA, and some friends of mine were like, come on, we're going to go to this bar. So I went to this bar, and there was a girl sitting there, and we were just chatting, as I'm learning how to chat up girls in LA. And
how do you chat up girls in LA?
You got to be pretty forward. You got to be pretty strong.
Got to tell them how many Instagram followers you have.
Probably now. I've plenty of stories of me striking out. One of them was a girl. I went up to talk to her, and she asked me my sign, and I was like, I'm a Cancer. And she's like, I don't know, whatever she said. I'm a Virgo. It'll never work out. And then walked away. And I was like, okay. But this time I talked to this girl. She was cute, hanging at the bar on her BlackBerry. So that'll date this moment. And we're talking, and every now and then she picks it up and she goes,
to be fair, but let me interject here.
Yeah.
If she's on a BlackBerry nowadays, to immediately like bounce, right?
That says something. Well, unless you like appreciate the vintage appeal, except the BlackBerry would not connect to a network. So that person would probably just be living in their world, just pretending to go around playing on a device that's not real. And there's deeper stuff going on there at that point.
Run
very quickly. But she picks up her phone and she says, wait, hang on just a second. She goes, I work for Us Weekly. I'm the West Coast, managing editor. And one of my paparazzi just sent me these photos. Brittany's just shaved her head. And I was like, what? And she's like, I got to go back to the office because we got to go publish this article tomorrow. And I was like, whoa. So it was like it had just happened. Someone had caught her either outside her, whatever mansion compound, whatever, sent the images over BlackBerry to this editor. And then boom, it was on. And at the time I was just like, oh, okay. And then of course in LA, local news like KTLA and stuff like that may as well be Access Hollywood because it's covering all the local celebrity culture. And so then sure enough, leading that next morning was Us Weekly breaking the news that Brittany has shaved her head. And I was like, I was there for that. That was crazy. It was like, welcome to LA, bro. It was a big moment.
You're part of history.
Yeah, you really are. If you are not from LA or haven't lived in LA and don't know what that feels like, it's like if you turned on your local news from somewhere rural and as they pan across whatever panorama, your house is in the distant background. You're like, that's our house. Yeah,
that's me. That's
part of history here. Yeah, that's
100%.
Yeah. So that's the feeling that you probably had there. Bradley, what do you do to reinvigorate yourself, snap yourself out of a midlife funk?
So I think this is a great question given our midlife status, because when I was younger, I dated this girl for not very long, 6 months, but most of that time she was still like, I think I'm into you. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. It was long distance. There was a lot of drama involved. And when we officially broke up, I went to William, shaved my head, actually dyed it yellow. I looked like all the M&Ms from the Slim Shady video.
People
where
are
they're
doing
all in
that
white
again.
T-shirts.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
The haircut world right now with the teenager alpaca look, I don't know if your kids have put you in proximity to the shorn on the sides and everything is pushed up to a poof. They call it the alpaca. And it's the classic high school, middle school boy, especially on the baseball world with the Oakley blades. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so I shaved it, dyed it yellow with some box that I found at Walgreens. It was I needed a reinvention, And I never thought about it from the standpoint of like, it would bring attention. But that's a really good point, because like, that's what you're kind of looking for, is like, I want people to say how good I am because I don't feel good, or like, you do have value, even though it seems like you don't because you just broke up with this person or whatever. I'm not getting emotional. I'm coughing.
It can be both.
Yeah, it can be both. So
I hope
now,
you could send some photos of you with the Slim Shady look.
Oh yeah, I've got
Upload
some.
as well.
I've got some. We'll put those up.
Okay.
I think now it's interesting because as I've gotten older and in more of my midlife crisis, I've found the power of quiet, of solitude, of walking around a lake with no headphones, with working out without headphones. Like some of the stuff that is very the antithesis of what I was in my 20s, of just like noise and go and loud music in the car. I'll just drive in the car sometimes without anything on, which is crazy. But I think to break me out of funks, I think it's like a little treat. Like, let me go get a coffee and go for a walk, or like, let me just go sit by myself for a little bit and just be quiet. And I don't even know what I would think of or think about. I just think there's something about, maybe it's the maturity of like the idea of like moving through a funk rather than trying to go around the funk with, like being overly scheduled or busy or whatever. So I just forget about it and I've got so many things and go. Because I find in those situations, if that's the case, then when I do find that I'm quiet and I've tried to avoid it, it comes back to me there. You pack up your bags, right? Like you guys both love to travel. William, you do probably more than all three of us, but there's something that's infectious and dopamine hitting about packing a bag and going to the airport and going. But at some point you're sitting quietly in the Uber or in your hotel room or whatever, and it will find you again. So I think maybe I'm just thinking about like, how I've handled this situation. We talked about this last week. My best friend's youngest son passed away. It was really heavy on me. And the things that I would do was really just, I just kind of, I was quiet. I didn't leave. I wasn't like, quarantining myself off. Like I don't want to interact with anyone, but I just found myself just kind of sitting quietly sometimes, or like I said, going for a walk and just being quiet. And I think, I don't know, for me, there was something about that really did it. Also, what my wife would hate for me to do is shave my beard. There's been a number of auditions that have said like, yes, I'm willing to shave. And she's like, you better book this and then leave for 2 weeks so you can grow it back.
She doesn't like your chin?
No. Oh, you know what? She barely has seen me. Sometimes I wonder, like, what if I go stash? Like if I block it like that, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a stash guy. I don't know if I could do that.
You are.
I feel like William, you could do it all. William, you got the face. It's like you go mustache, you go chops, you go mutton chops.
I thought for like over a decade that I had to have the beard all the time, and I didn't like how it looked without it. And then definitely during like a phase where I needed some self-love, I shaved it. And first I went with the stash, and I liked the stash, but it was a little creepy still. But then now, like, I don't know. I don't want to go back to the beard ever. I love not having the beard now. It's funny how you get set in your head with certain things. It's like, for me, it was, I didn't like how I looked without the beard. And then because that was just set in my head, it wasn't necessarily true. But then now, like, I don't like how I look with the beard. So I don't know. It's just weird how you can get those doubts in your head, those opinions of yourself that are negative because of whatever people tell you or whatever you've seen. And then once you get over it, it's like, oh, wow, what was I thinking? Like, I look way younger now without it. So I don't know. Weird.
Yeah.
But even a less extreme example than just shaving your head is just getting a haircut. Like, it's amazing how good just a haircut can make you feel. I got my haircut a couple days.
Yes.
You look a couple days ago, and it's great. Thank you. Thank you.
You got the tattoo and the haircut. I bet you're on fucking cloud nine right now.
I really am.
Right now.
Just like,
that's just knocking at your door. Just thousands of women, people with checks. They just want to give them to you. Business opportunities, fish. There's a marlin out there right now, just like waiting
on the shore.
Yeah, and just so much energy.
Yeah, you're walking probably everywhere you walk. You hear Saturday Night Live soundtrack playing in your head. Staying alive.
No time to talk. Yeah,
I don't know how you guys knew that, but Just can't get it out of my head.
I do. That's because that's exactly how I feel too. Like whenever I make a change, I'm like, I'm going to strut today. I think I'm going to strut. And it is crazy, dude. Like just like a little self-care and self-love and
that's
pampering,
what this is really.
And having people recognize it. For me, there is something to having people I know and strangers alike being like, hey, you got a haircut, looks good. Oh, you shaved your face, that looks nice. Oh, like that's like, it just like is a distraction enough from whatever funk I'm in. To the downside though is that when I look at pictures of me with like long hair and I'm like, fuck, I look like a badass there. Can I do that again? And it's like, you can, but you got to push through the funk in another way. Or have zero funk for 6 years.
I don't know. For me, it's definitely more about just I don't think it's about other people saying that I look good. It's definitely more for myself. And I feel like this whole thing is just about self-care, self-love, and different ways of showing it. Like shaving your head or getting a tattoo, those are kind of extreme ways of showing the self-love. But as far as like being in a funk, getting out of a funk, it's all about how you take care of yourself. And I also know what you're talking about, Bradley, where, you know, you can try to do certain things that help, like traveling or like staying busy, working out, all this kind of things. And they all kind of like serve their purpose and help towards feeling better. But at the end of the day, it's really like, it's hard to describe, but it's really like acceptance. And it's kind of the opposite of shaving your head or of getting a nice haircut or something like that. It's really like accepting things as they are instead of wanting them to be different. And I think for me, I've been, you know, going through a year of a pretty big funk. I feel like I'm kind of turning a page on it recently. And I think the biggest thing has been like, you know, I did all of my I talked about it earlier on the podcast, meds, meditation, exercise, diet and sleep, and those helped a lot. They really pulled me through some of the darkest times. But what's finally turning the page for me is just accepting it. It's like, you know, it's amor fati, like love your fate. It's like, yeah, I couldn't have chose where I'm at now. I wouldn't have imagined it, but I can still really appreciate it and love it. And I think that that's the most important element of getting over grief, getting over a dark time, is just understanding that things are the way they are. You can't change them. And you're really, the only real option is to just accept it and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. I think your Shaolin karate is giving you some old school meditative wisdom, bro. That's so good, especially in this idea of midlife crisis, right? Which sometimes the crisis, and we were trying to define this last week. I think sometimes the crisis is based out of this should change, this should be different. And so if you can embrace where it is and acknowledge that, I think that's really powerful. Kind of in like a judo way, right? Like this is what's coming at you. You can't change the attack. The person's punching you or whatever, but you can change how you address it and how you deal with it as it's coming. So I think that's a great word in what we're trying to do here as we kind of process through our midlifeness.
So you're thinking like a parry or a roundhouse kick or a jab or
definitely violence. Violence is the answer. So that's what we're saying here. If the question is what is the answer is violence, and that's when it's the answer.
And like all the self-love things that you do, they all contribute to you being able to get to that state. But that state is really the only point where the actual change comes, is like the full acceptance. Like with the cycle of grief, acceptance is the last stage of it. And when people talk about the cycle of grief, I don't think they always realize that it's not like one cycle. It goes through multiple iterations of it, but it's always acceptance is at the end of it. So like while I was going through all this, I many times felt like, okay, I'm getting towards acceptance now. I'm feeling better. And then I would get hit with like another wave of anger and all the like sadness and everything. But without putting in all that work, as far as the self-love, working out, all those other things, I don't think I ever would have got to. And I don't even know if I am actually at that acceptance stage. I feel like right now it could change, But I think that everything between then and now contributed to at least feeling like, hey, like, yeah, I thought I was accepting things earlier, but really I was still kind of battling within myself, pretending to accept it. And then now I think that I'm really actually accepting it for what it is, understanding that it's done and there's a lot to look forward to. And it's much better to have things to look forward to than to wish things were different and like trick yourself into thinking that they could still go back to a different way or whatever it is. I don't know. It's crazy.
But you can also revert back and go through the cycle again, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's never ending. It's not like, once you've accepted and everything, now we're done. It's like you can go back to like regret and hope and denial and whatever,
anger,
and then come back to the acceptance again. So
right.
I think that's like, that's
and it's like if it was a graph, like it gets less steep each time. Like your anger isn't quite as extreme. Like your sadness isn't quite as extreme. Like the peaks get smaller and the waves get longer. So it kind of like flattens out in the long run, and hopefully you end at a good point. But yeah, it's cyclical. Like it doesn't stop once you get to a certain point.
But I like that you're making space, like what Tyson was talking about, in terms of do those things. Shave your head, grow your hair long, shave your beard, keep it, go mustache, tattoos forever. But if that's your thing, then go for it. That those are what leads you to that. You can't just like jump there. And we also know those things aren't going to fix it, but those are the things that lead you to fix it.
You guys have any tattoos?
I don't. Bradley does?
Yeah, of course I do.
What?
2024, brah.
I know.
Of course, everybody has tattoos. You might be the only person in
canvas,
Phoenix area with no tattoos. Totally. I've never seen more tattoos than anywhere in Phoenix.
And that's what, like, part of it is that's why I don't.
Yeah.
And also the other part is that, like, I don't look as good with my shirt off as I used to. And so it's like,
that's because you don't have enough tattoos.
Well, that's part of would that mask some of that?
Yes.
Dude, 100%. Tattoos is salt and pepper on blandness. You throw a couple of tattoos in, everybody's looking at the tattoos. That's
Should I get a tattoo? But what if I then go through that cycle that William was talking about with the tattoo, where I'm like regret, anger, remorse, and then acceptance again, be like, fuck it. It's too late now. Let's see what this tattoo can bring. Like that
could be a good thing though, because then that's a very minute cycle of grief to go through. So maybe that little cycle of grief to go through will take away from the big ones.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Like a 1K race instead of a marathon. Like just a tiny little, and start small, right? William, what would you recommend? You got big tattoos. You're not hiding anything.
I would recommend, I started with the octopus here, the big octopus.
Started with an octopus.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Oh, that's not true. I started with a shark eating a scuba diver on my leg.
I thought you could just say somewhere like more radical. I was like, okay, yeah, no wonder you didn't show us that one.
But if I was Tyson, I don't know. I'd probably start with just a giant portrait of your kids, like on your chest. Just the whole chest. Might as well.
I love my kids, and basically, it's the only reason I do anything is for my kids. But I don't think I am the portrait tattoo guy. I could do something that represents them, like their birth month flower or stone or something like that.
That's a good one. A bunch of flowers look really pretty on you.
Yeah, I'm a floral guy. No, I am a floral guy. I think both of you are like mocking me, but I think
Look behind William.
Guy.
I just think
he's clearly into plants.
I do love plants. I just think that if you started with a bunch of flowers, and those were the only ones you had, I think it would be a
what?
Interesting choice.
Now I have to do it.
Yep.
It's bold
because everyone will recognize
the flower.
Yeah. All the strangers will be like, Tyson's made some changes.
Exactly.
Great.
There goes Le Fleur.
You think face on the face?
Tyson
Le Fleur.
Yeah.
One flower and one flower, birth month, June and
Have
July.
the vine going into your mouth.
Down my neck.
Oh yeah, they got to get water.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. For our listeners, quick way to reset. Bradley, it's surmise your quick tips for giving us a reset here.
I would say find quiet, and let everything else go away. The noise of your life, work, family, obligations. That could be like something bold, like I'm going away for a 24-hour solo silent retreat to a hotel or camping or whatever. Or make it small, sit in your car for 15 minutes by yourself, quiet, just see where your mind goes and just be in it.
William?
What about therapy? We haven't talked about that either.
Yeah.
Like, how does therapy play into all of this? I mean, for me, it's kind of what I already talked about. I think that self-love is really important. And I think that doing whatever helps you feel better, like quiet time, like working out, like it could be meditating for you, whatever it might be, is super important. But also getting perspective is kind of vital for all this. So that's where I think kind of therapy comes into it, because you have a lot of preconceived ideas about why you feel this way, things you might feel like you've been wronged in the past or whatever it might be. But therapy kind of lets you take a step out of all those ideas that you already have. And if it's a good therapist, they'll challenge you on those ideas and also help you work towards like the self-love thing. So I think that especially if it's kind of a more serious, bigger thing that you're dealing with in your life, I think that talking to a professional can definitely be super important.
I would agree with that. I took years of therapy in LA. It was massively important for me, for my personal growth, for my relationship with my wife, my kids, all that. So just for the record, love therapy and think it's massively important.
I don't do therapy, but I should. Probably. Survivor, reality TV always has a therapist on hand after, and something about just unloading all of your shit on someone who's there to listen feels so, someone who's there to listen that doesn't judge and who cares if they do, because they're not in any way related to you whatsoever.
Yeah,
so
because they're looking at it from the outside. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah. So just unloading all of it, even just hearing yourself say the stuff is like so therapeutic. And you don't get an opportunity to really just like barf it all out there that often. So to have someone that you can just like know that you can go do that really does help. I also like, Bradley, setting your phone on the kitchen counter and leaving for half the day. Put your phone on the kitchen counter, go get a radical haircut, go get a tattoo.
Man, I love all this.
Come back to your phone 6 hours later and post on Instagram stories while everyone loses their shit over the new you. Feels so good.
Also with not a therapist, but it's also just having somebody in your life who you can unload stuff on when you need to, I think is really important too. Like my sister has been there for me so much the last year. And sometimes I feel guilty because like I text her so much and like I'm always complaining, but she's really good at that. And I think it's been really important for me. And in a lot of ways, I think it's brought us closer together too. And it's kind of interesting just like tracking my grief journey or whatever you want to call it by looking at the text
through
to my sister. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I was in a dark place then. Oh yeah, I was doing a little bit better then.
What a good sister.
Yeah, I know, she's awesome.
When you say that, it's like I have certain groups that are therapy for the other group. Like I can go to my guys' pickleball group and complain about my wife or my family, or talk about like what's going on at home a little bit and joke about it and have everybody have similar experiences where they're like, yeah, that happened too to me, like in this way. And then I can go home to my wife and be like, get a load of my guys group, dude. There's totally. Like
you're truly a Survivor contestant playing both sides still. Right? You're over here being like, yeah, they're terrible over there. And then you go over here and you're like, they're terrible over there. You know what they said about you? Tyson, you were born for it, baby. It's just in you. It's just never left.
Listen,
so good.
Like, I shouldn't.
You're playing both sides of therapy. That's hilarious.
I shouldn't let people into my brain because, like, I look at myself from the outside and I'm like, I'm a sociopath. But then, I'm like, but if I'm accepting that I'm a sociopath, am I truly? Because would a sociopath acknowledge and accept that they are a sociopath?
Whoa.
And is me knowing that I'm a sociopath somehow make me more human because I am like, I don't think I'm a true sociopath, like in the truest.
That's what a true sociopath
form.
would say.
Because I care about people and I want people I love especially to thrive. But I do want my enemies to feel some sort of wrath and pain.
Duly noted, William. Let's stay on LeFleur, Tyson flower tattoos.
I'm not coming for you. I'm not coming for anyone.
And that's exactly what the murderer says. You're safe here. Just put this duct tape over your mouth. We'll be fine.
Bradley sees all.
Yeah, I'm far enough away from you to be able to understand. I'm time zone ahead.
I've said too much. We got to shut this one down. Everyone, thanks for tuning in.
The police are en route right now.
No. Yeah, everything's in a trust. You can't find me anywhere.
He'll change his look. He already admitted he knows how to do it. He'll cut his hair. He'll shave his beard. You'll never be able to track him.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. This is the Midlife Crisisses, where crises are always happening and we're always addressing them. Take care until next week. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.